The Crate Potion used to require Deathweed, Moonglow, and Amber, but now requires Shiverthorn and Waterleaf in place of Deathweed. This by itself isn't interesting, but what is interesting is that this was due to a typo in the code that was fixed in 1.4.0.5. In 1.4, Adamantite, Titanium, and Chlorophyte bars, or costs, were all reduced by 1. The same applies to Crimtane and Demonite, but that change was made in 1.3 instead. Before 1.3.1, the Auto Hammer used to get its reciprocating motion from a lever attached directly to the shaft of the gear. Today, the reciprocating mechanism seems to be attached in the metal part instead. The Fire Gauntlet originally did not fully transfer Mechanical Glove boosts to it, with it only gaining 9 or 10% speed and damage versus the Mechanical Glove's full 12%. In 1.4.1, this was remedied, with it now giving the full 12%, as well as increasing size and inflicting Hellfire, an On-Fire plus debuff, dealing 15 DPS versus 4. During the holo and during the day, you may see a winged unicorn pass by in the distance. So yeah, apparently unicorns can fly, they just choose not to. Before 1.4, the Panic Necklace and Band of Star Power used to be mutually exclusive due to the biome lockout, but they were made craftable from each other using Ecto Mist. Curiously, the Bowl of Soup doesn't require a bowl to craft anymore. The reason for this is unknown. The sprite used when the Desert Tiger is mid-pounce is this shadowy outline sprite, contrasting with the other sprites used. The fancy spawn effect observed when the Empress spawns is called a Death Aurora in the game code. Also, for all of those who don't believe the Empress of Light isn't smiling, it's a nose. But don't take my word for it, take Chrono's word. If you check the water height exactly, the Terrarian can breathe perfectly fine even when their nose spray is clearly below water. The shark fin doesn't actually have a 100% chance to drop from sharks, but instead a 98% chance. There's no reason for this 2% discrepancy as far as I know, and I've always treated like it's a guaranteed chance anyway. The Guide to Critter Companionship protects critters from more than just direct player attacks. It also protects the critters from traps and fallen stars. The Guide to Critter Companionship is, however, useless against explosive bunnies, meaning you can accidentally kill them if you were on For the Worthy, for example. Just like Gel, shark fins change coloration based on the first item in the stack. The colors are based on the type of shark killed. Since most of our shark fins come from ocean or statue sharks though, this is a rather obscure fact. Landmines are one of the only ways to damage players who aren't in PvP mode, and they will die a PvP death when killed. This means they won't drop money and will respawn with full health. The chance to obtain at least one Paladin's shield after killing 100 Paladins is 99.9999537%, and it is 99.9999997% at 150 kills. Beyond this, my calculator sadly runs out of precision. The buff that increases their movement speed the most is the Panic buff gained from the Panic Necklace. The debuff that decreases it the most is the Oozed debuff from the Ogre mini-boss, found in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 Old Ones Army events. The Molotov Cocktail uniquely deals only 65% damage to Eater of Worlds segments, 14 base damage instead of 23 base damage. As far as I know, this property is only shared with the Clinger Staff, which deals half damage against worm enemies, and the Golden Shower, which only deals 75% damage to Destroyer and Probes, but only in Expert mode. If you know of any other exceptions like this, let me know. There are 4 non-light pets that actually provide light, them being the Baby Truffle, Cursed Sapling, Shadow Mimic, and Volt Bunny pets. If you switch your Terraria to simplified Chinese, you get a bit of a spacing issue on health and mana, probably because they didn't opt for the English abbreviations HP and MP. The 3 dimmest light pets in the game are the Shadow Orb, Crimson Heart, and Magic Lantern. Every mobile app icon used to have some variation of the old Terraria character holding or using something, until 1.3 when they just set it to the iconic Terraria tree. Despite expert zombies having a chance to spawn holding a zombie arm, these zombies don't have a higher chance to drop them. I thought they did, but that's probably just caused by the drowned tridents. Armor with illegal modifiers works just as an accessory would. For example, this menacing solar flare armor would give 12% damage above what the armor gives by default. The Brain of Cthulhu on Journey Mode difficulty has the only boss health value that is 3 digits, and only 500% health for the last phase. Due to the Crimson Heart emitting blood, turning off blood and gore just makes it look like it's steaming. Most enemy kites have a drop rate of 4% from the enemies, with the exception of the Bone Serpent kite at 6%, and the 2 Jellyfish kites at 2% each. The requirement for the Thunderstorm is that wind speed hits 20 miles an hour and that rain is at 50%. However, the Thunderstorm will not stop until wind hits 16 miles per hour and the rain is at 40%. so it is possible to have a waning thunderstorm that is under the starting conditions. Potted trees show varieties of trees that do not grow normally in Terraria, that being the cedar as well as the forest jungle and hollowed palms and bamboos. Interestingly, the potted bamboos don't resemble any bamboo actually seen in the game. To find 3 to 13 platinum ore in a slime as a bonus drop has a combined chance of 1/20 times 1/32, so 1/640 or 0.15625%. This is true of ore of any kind, even copper ore. Lava slimes are one of the only slimes do not drop gel on death. Instead, the only things lava slimes drop are coins. The message, "The ancient spirits of light and dark have been released," does not actually appear when the wall of flesh is defeated. It appears when the 2 biomes are done generating, which can be a bit later depending on your computer hardware. Wormhole potions found in slimes were replaced with recall potions within a single-player world, as to not be redundant. In any world with over 200,000 hive blocks are considered as stone blocks, and crispy honey blocks are considered as hardened sand when used to place ruled evils. This basically only occurs in Not the Bees worlds. Prior to 1.3.2, you were not able to choose the world evil. However, this option was added as long as you have entered hard mode in at least one world. Both the Goblin Battle Standard and Pirate map require at least 200 health to use them, which is also the requirement for the invasions to spawn in the first place. The conditions for cactus to spawn naturally are very peculiar. It can spawn on any sand block on the surface layer that isn't hammered or actuated, and that isn't close to the edge of the world, more specifically, more than 378 tiles from the edge. This is to prevent them from spawning in the ocean. The sand block also must have space above and to the side of it, and cannot be submerged in liquid. More than 10 sand blocks and fewer than 4 cactus blocks must also be present in a 13x5 rectangle around the sand block. Only in this case is a cactus eligible for spawning. The Drax tooltip used to say, not to be confused with the ham saw, but was changed to say pick saw when the pick saw was actually added in 1.2. Old players might know how hollowed armor used to be crafted with every hard mode ore in Souls, instead of hollowed bars, which were introduced in 1.2. Not me though, when 1.1 released, I was 5 years old. The Goblin Scout's Bestiary entry seems to give reason to why Goblin armies are so quick to follow the Goblin Battle Standard. Apparently it makes them see the land as a colony to conquer. In 1.3, the Bloody Spine lost its 5th vertebra, and became much more curved. The chance for a water bowl is as follows. Every book platform in the dungeon has a 50% chance to have a book generate on it, and that book has a 2% chance of being a water bowl. This means 1 in 100 platforms will generate a water bowl in the dungeon. During a blizzard, you may notice that the player will begin to squint if they are exposed to the outside air. Grenades were given a more pineapple-like look in 1.4 with their ridge-like streaks, more resembling the pineapple frag grenades that are well known in popular culture. Prior to 1.3, Spectre bars did not exist, with Spectre armor and tools instead being crafted with chlorophyte and ectoplasm. The bar was presumably added to simplify crafting recipes, and possibly to bring it in parity with Shroomite, which was a bar from the very beginning. The North Pole snowflakes are unique in the fact that they are affected by the wind. Other drop projectiles, such as the Cursed Dart's rain, are not affected in the same way. One may think that the tungsten and silver bullets are the same, but like all ore pairs, tungsten is still stronger. It has a knockout value of 4, or weak, versus 3, or very weak, found on the silver bullet. The depth meter was once craftable with 10 copper bars, 8 silver bars, and 6 gold bars, but this was changed in Desktop 1.2. Even more so is that you can only craft it with copper, silver, and gold, so if you have the wrong ore, then tough luck. And finally, the largest update gap in Terraria was between 1.3.5.3 and 1.4.0.1, lasting 3 years and 21 days. Congratulations on making it to the end. If you enjoy this content, I recommend a subscription as we are close to 20,000. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your life, best of luck to you, goodbye.